Yay! It worked! Yay! Welcome to Prop Live, everybody, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. I'm Bill Duran from Punished Props with a fancy intro that I made work this week. I didn't have to sing it. Let's dive straight into it because we have someone on the line, one of our wonderful friends and guests for the show. We have Steven from SoloRoboto Industries. Steven, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me again, Bill.
Oh, of course. I'm excited to talk to you because you've been a busy man. Been working on lots of stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
And also because you'll be in town soon.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yes, me too. Steven, of course, if you guys don't know, is the dude over at SoloRoboto Industries. If you go to SoloRoboto.com, you can see all the really cool stuff that he's been working on, like Star-Lord helmet, which is pretty fantastic. And you can see all the cool stuff, like his store over there for kits and whatnot. And, of course, what I want to talk about, because I strong-armed you into making it, is your book.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
that guy done.
Yeah, you've got an ebook out about Bondo. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's I tried to write a basic sort of intro. If you didn't know what like Bondo / body filler was, or had never worked with it, or even if you had but you didn't really know what you were doing or felt like you didn't get what you wanted, I wanted to write a book that would sort of walk you through the basics for pretty much anybody. Like my dad is a general contractor, and he kind of like just discovered Bondo a while ago for like patching stuff outside of like spackle, and he was constantly asking me questions. So he was kind of like the voice in the back of my head of like, how would I explain this so that anybody would know what they're like, could figure it out and make it work and actually get some benefit out of it.
That's pretty cool. Now you picked Bondo to talk about because you've used it a lot. I think a lot of people when they see things like your Ant-Man helmet, right? The master for that was a lot of Bondo, right?
It's all Bondo.
Yeah.
There's theoretically there's a Pepakura file underneath there somewhere that I drew in ZBrush and like made a pattern out of, but the entire outer shape is all Bondo. So is Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Star-Lord is like 90% Bondo, basically outside of like the little bits and little raised details. That whole shape is Bondo.
Really kind of pushing the medium there.
Yeah. For Star-Lord, it was not the best decision.
No.
But I learned a lot.
The let's see here. I like the you have some really good shots, like with Paul Rudd. That's not a bad shot to get right there. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Speaking of the Ant-Man, we just watched this movie again like 3 days ago. I think I saw one of those at Wizard World Portland. I saw a really nice Ant-Man helmet sitting like 3 rows ahead of me. That was all. I think it was like that satin chrome. That might have been yours.
There's a guy up in Seattle who has the only painted one I've made. And he'll be at Emerald City. But there's a guy up there. He's got mine, but it's painted. It's all clad.
Okay. Oh well, maybe that's what it was then. But anyway,
all clad looks a lot like that satin chrome.
Yeah, I think it was probably that dude. But I saw him sitting up ahead of me. I'm like, I bet that's one of Steven's helmets. Really cool. Well, anyway, everyone watching, run over to SoloRoboto.com and grab that Bondo book if you're looking for a cheap material. I know I cut my teeth on Bondo early on. If you have one Bondo tip for everybody, what would it be?
Get a Surform file.
Yeah.
One of those weird cheese grater looking rasps that cut my working time with Bondo by like probably 80%.
Sounds pretty awesome. Stanley Tools. Let's see right here. Files and Surform. If we go to their website, these guys right here. Whoops. Thank you. I'm not joining your mailing list there. But yeah, this Surform standard cut flat replacement blade. Those are pretty cool. We'll put a link to those in the show notes. I'll just dump it in the chat right now for everybody. Boop. There you go, everyone. All right. Cool. Bondo, everybody.
Yeah,
you mentioned we're going to talk about conventions in a second. I have a thing here that I want to talk about with you, mister. A few weeks ago, you were hanging out in our buddy Frank Ippolito's shop doing something really, really cool. It made everyone on the internet jealous. You want to tell us about the day you got to spend playing with the Martian suit with Adam Savage?
Yeah, the day I got to take apart the Martian suit, that was an awesome day. I actually owe a lot of that to you, because back around after Comic-Con, you came up here to LA to work with Frank for like a week, a few days a week, and basically vouched for me that I wasn't going to destroy all his work.
Yeah, which is ironic because I'm the one that broke his airbrush.
And after that, I've actually been working with Frank pretty regular. I've been in there a couple days at least most weeks helping him out make molds and stuff. And one day we were out at lunch and he got a call from Norm at Tested that they needed one more person because the crate the Martian suit is in, if you saw those pictures, is like 8.5 feet tall and weighs probably 200 or 300 pounds. So they just physically needed another body to move it. And I was at lunch with Frank, and Norm from Tested knows me. And I was like, hey, are you free next week? Like we might be getting the Martian suit. I was like, yeah, I could make time for that. So Frank and I drove down in the morning, and we loaded it into his van and drove it back to his shop. And Adam came by when he got done with the meeting, and we spent like, I think I was at Frank's shop for like 12 or 14 hours that day. We disassembled the whole suit, took it all apart, taking pictures and stuff, and then trying to figure out what all the little bits and pieces were. Yeah. It was super cool.
That sounds like a really cool opportunity. I liked you posted a picture. You got a picture of Adam taking a selfie of himself with the Martian helmet on.
Yeah, that was a really fun day. I think my only regret is that I didn't try the helmet on.
Yeah.
But I was kind of afraid.
Yeah. That's true. That's really cool. That's got to be one of those moments. I remember when we were hanging out at the Tested party at Comic-Con this year. The general sort of feeling going around with us and our buddies was like, how am I here doing this? Because I make, basically, like you said, because I made stuff out of Bondo, you know?
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Garage.
The stars lined up and you got to do something cool. That was neat. Awesome.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. It was a great day.
It's very, very exciting. All right, cool. Well, you said you've got a couple comic conventions coming up. You want to tell us a little about Silicon Valley Comic-Con?
Yeah. Kit, my girlfriend Kit, and I are headed up to Silicon Valley Comic-Con in San Jose a week from today. I think it's technically starts Friday night. I'm not sure if the show floor is open, but it's all day Saturday and Sunday at the San Jose Convention Center. It used to be Big Wow Comic Fest, and we've gone to that for a couple of years.
Yep.
And they got bought last year by Steve Wozniak.
Oh.
So now it's Silicon Valley Comic-Con, so it's a comic convention and a tech convention. But it's like triple the size it was last year.
Wow.
So it should be interesting to see. And with like the tech aspect, I'm hoping that like some of the prop stuff will go pretty well, because there's a lot of those. Silicon Valley in general is, a real big tech sort of maker community types of place. So it's going to be different than last year, but it should be a lot of fun. It's always been a nice, easy convention, and people are always really friendly up there. So
awesome. And is that going to be in the same space that Big Wow was in? Cool. If you go to the Marriott there, and if you see if their Lost and Found has the undersuit from my Titan costume, that'd be great.
Is that where you left it?
Yeah, totally. It's definitely there. I called them too, and they never got back to me. But if you just swing by the front desk and see if there's an undersuit that I paid an exorbitant amount of money to make, if you see it just lying there, just go ahead and grab that for me.
I can ask. Yeah.
Awesome. And then next, and coming way too fast, is Emerald City Comic Con up here in Seattle, and you guys get to travel up here, so I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah, we're coming up for that. We had to come back to Emerald City for the first time, and it's been 2 years. We haven't gone the last 2 years. We went 2 years before that, so super looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Should be a lot of fun.
Are we on panel? I'm on a couple panels.
We're on. Yeah, we've got at least one panel together.
Yeah, I have a list. Holy crap! I wrote this down. Here it is. I like that I have so many post-it notes on my computer that it's not even useful anymore. It's just the full list. Let's see. Prop making on a budget, is that it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that I pitched them that they picked up.
Yeah, April 10th at 11 a.m.
Yeah,
and
then
I'll post all
PSS
this stuff
couple.
closer. I'll post more closer to the event, but yeah.
Yeah, we're like a month out, and like we've got Silicon Valley next week, and then WonderCon the week after that, and then we get a whole weekend off before we fly to Seattle.
Exciting. That'll be really fun. I'm going to try and organize some sort of like prop maker, cosplayer meetup at Emerald City one of those days. Probably, I would guess Saturday. Just so people can all like get together in one spot and talk about prop making.
Yeah, that's always
during
fun.
the day. We'll figure that out. So you guys at home look forward to that, especially if you're local and you're going to Emerald City Comic Con. I see Henchman Props in the chat. Jordan.
Yeah, I know that name.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to Emerald City. I don't know. Cool. What else do we have here? That's it. I want to talk about some stuff. What I'm working on because I'm really excited about it.
What do you got going on?
I have one project that I started this week. I'm really stoked about, and I've started using Fusion 360, which is a really great CAD program for the folks over at Autodesk. It's free if you're a small business, if you're a startup, or a hobbyist, or a student. So go get it and start digging through your tutorials. But I'm 3D printing a little robot. Ta-da! I'm 3D printing a little Mr. Handy robot from Fallout 4. And
Is that what that guy is?
Yeah, this is one of his little eyeballs.
Yeah, I saw your teaser photos.
Yeah. I'm printing it in pieces. It's going to be all molded and cast because he has 3 eyeballs, so I'm just going to make it once. But he's got a little shield thing under, so this will get molded and cast separately. Oh, wow. This is adorable.
Oh, this part, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then this part goes on the arm there, and his little head can rotate.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited about this. I spent all day today modeling his body, which is 3D printing right now. I hope it is. The machine is making noise in that room. I hope it's.
Hopefully it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
But it's 1/6 scale. So here's what I'm working off of, and it's here. I'll do this so that it's bigger, like that. So it's 1/6 scale. It's about 10 inches tall, which is significantly big. It's not
decent size.
It's not an action figure. This thing's gonna be pretty big. So I'm having fun with that. So that's what I've been working on in the last couple days, along with a whole crap ton of other stuff. Boop. All right, about ready to start taking some questions. We've got a lot of them. I have a quick note about questions. As always, you can submit your questions anytime during the week at punishprops.com/live. We are at the point now where we dig through as many of them as we can, but we just can't handle all of them. So we get through as many as we can during the show. After the show, the emails get deleted. We start fresh. Otherwise, there's no way we would get through the list of emails. So if we don't answer your question this week, then submit it again, and we'll dive through them. So that is the current state of taking questions. But we are going to answer your questions, and we do have a whole bunch of them. So are you ready, Mr. Roboto?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This one comes from Occam Razor. Can you use a vibrating rig to get rid of bubbles in casts and molds? Is this something you've ever tried?
Not exactly. I've heard people try things like it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we always you kind of do the thing where you take your mold and shake it or tap it, and I've definitely done that. I feel like I've either seen or heard of people at professional FX shops who have basically a vibrating table to accomplish the same sort of thing for stuff that you can't say put in a pressure pot.
Yeah, I've tried something similar just by holding a mold against my scroll saw, just because it oscillates.
The table kind of.
Yeah. I don't think it actually really helped all that much. but when I have the pressure pot now, so I like using that. But also what I was doing this week, I was casting some pieces, and it was kind of like a tubular shape. So I did 2 pours. I poured it a little bit, and I slush cast the inside of it. I did a good slush cast layer until it kicked, and then I filled it up the rest of the way. And that handled any bubble problems that I had.
Yeah, that seems to work pretty well. If you're just getting little bubbles on surface layer, on the outer layer, baby powder helps a lot. Talcum powder.
Yep.
I do that on pretty much everything now. Dust in a layer of baby powder. You get a good makeup brush it around in there, and then blow it all out basically. That helps a lot.
Yes, for sure. If you're going to do anything clear cast, or if you're really picky about bubbles, though, consider looking into getting a pressure pot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got one recently, and now everything I cast I want to put in there because they just come out just so good. There's nothing worse than like getting a piece out of the mold and it looks pretty good, and then you poke one little bubble and you're like, oh, there was a bubble, and then you find out there's like 300 more.
Yeah, just like that line. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Occam Razor, for your question. Next one comes from Ken from PEX Props. I'm thinking of starting up a prop making business. I was just wondering what problems you had when you started and how you overcame them. Well, I don't think we have enough time to go over all the problems. But how about one? Yeah, one big one. Do you have one big thing that was tricky to overcome?
I didn't plan to do this full time when I started full time. I just kind of stopped my other job because I was busy doing this. So I didn't come into it with a plan or any savings in place.
Aha!
I would say that's probably my biggest mistake. So I was like, especially when I was getting started, I was just like always playing catch up. That thing where just like whatever I could do to make rent this month, it's kind of what I had to do, which was not always the best long term. Like if I'd taken like an extra like 3 to 6 months to like save some money, so that I could have like made it through the first couple of rough patches, because it's like any small business, you've got ups and downs. I think I'd probably be further ahead if I'd done that.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if I had done something like that, because I was constantly playing catch up too when I got started. I'm wondering if I had saved up a bunch of money though, if I probably would have just spent it. In fact, when I got started, every time I got paid for a commission, I took half of it and banked it, and that lasted for about 3 months before I was like, I'm gonna need some of that money. And then 3 months later, it was gone, and then I was playing catch up again.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it took me a while because I had a day job for a good long time, and when I had the day job, I was very used to being able to spend all of my money because I knew there was a paycheck at the end of that 2 weeks, and it took me a while to get used to that. That no longer exists. Yeah. Which is ironic and actually awesome, because now that I've been running my business for about 4 years and it's actually starting to turn a profit, that I still have that mentality of, oh my god, I can't spend money because there's never enough money. So I just keep taking whatever I have and just jamming it in the bank. I'm like, and then I'm afraid to touch it, which is good. It's a good mentality to have. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I'd say your most basic big problems are the ones that like every small business has.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not the problems that are not special to the prop maker community. I recommend looking up the book, The E-Myth Revisited. Go look that book up about running a small business. It's a good one. Have you read it yet, Steven?
I think that one I actually have.
You have it?
Honestly, that's one of the ones I have read.
Oh, you have read. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. I thought you were like, oh no, I totally bought that book. I mean, it's at the bottom of a pile of porno magazines, but I have it. Thank you, Ken. Go read that book. Next one comes from Terry. I'm reporting back with the results of your homework you gave me last week. He was asking if he could dye leather with an airbrush. This is cool. So he used Angelus Leather Dye straight from the bottle in a single action spray gun on some scrap veg tan leather. He got some really nice even results after 3 or 4 coats and some buffing with the cloth. He's planning on using this technique to dye leather for scabbards that he's making. Awesome. Thank you, Terry, and well done on doing the homework I gave you last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to start giving people more homework. Cool. Next one question comes from Balcor1. I'm making a prop laser gun to go with the costume for an upcoming convention. I'm a bit of a cosplay noob, but I'm willing to learn. In your experience, which method gives you the best realistic looking results? 3D printing, EVA foam, or molding and casting? What do you prefer? If you want something that looks the most realistic, what would you do?
Mold and cast.
Yeah.
Just because you get with heart. Well, one, I'm I just like hard things because I can keep poking at it until it's exactly the way I want.
Yes.
And I'd say that's if you're going for realism, unless you like know exactly how to get what you're going for at the end, that's probably one of the biggest things about it, is being able to just like keep refining until you've got exactly what you're looking for.
Yes, and that hard surface that you're refining could be anything, wood, Bondo, or whatever, or 3D printing. So example, I have Raised Blaster. This was all these parts were 3D printed, but the 3D printed plastic was nice and rigid, and I could sand and finish it to the surface quality that I wanted, and then I molded and cast it. And anything that I want to look like legit and machined and realistic usually ends up getting molded and cast. Yeah. Just because that cast piece is a nice, sturdy platform that you can apply any number of finishes to. So
yeah,
there you go. Molding and casting. In fact, I've got a molding and casting series on my YouTube channel. You should go check it out.
You got a whole series of videos now.
Yes, we do. Go check them out. We'll link those in the show notes. That was the plan with the molding and casting video series. We get so many questions that we're like, finally, we're going to sit down, we're going to make all of those, and then whenever anyone asks about molding and casting, I'll be like, just go watch that video. Thank you, Balcor. Next one comes from Andre. Do you have any tips on making a foam or a piece of foam armor that tapers to a thin edge instead of a 45-degree bevel, like a slope, like nice thin edge?
Yeah,
what would you
just sand it?
What would you use to sand it? I know what I would use, but what would you prefer?
I have a random orbit sander, a circular sander. Back when I made Heimdall armor, all those straps, that whole thing is foam, and all those straps have to go from like nice thick plates on the side down to like little like 1/8 inch taper, so it all nests real nicely. And I just did that with the power sander.
Yeah, I would do something similar just with like a belt sander. I have a benchtop belt sander. I'll even take a piece of wood so that I can hold the piece of foam against the belt sander without.
Yeah, so you get that flat and you don't get the weird.
Yeah, you get a nice even pressure on the piece of foam, and also less likely to sand your fingertips.
That's also a big plus. Yeah.
Yes, which it took me like sanding my fingertips more than once before I'm like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
There you go,
Andre. I have a set of like work gloves that I wear when I'm working with either fiberglass, so I don't cut myself, or the bench the bench sander, so I don't like.
Yeah, I really ought to just keep a pair of them right next to the benchtop sander there. I should have a pair. Realistically, I should have a pair of safety gloves next to every single tool.
I do that with safety glasses. Like they live on all the tools. There's like one on the blade for my bandsaw and like one at the drill press.
Yes,
they're everywhere.
I just upgraded. Well, I had to upgrade the guides for my bandsaw. It's an old bandsaw. Old is made the same year I was born. The guides on it were just like the graphite, two pieces of graphite that hold the blade, which is perfectly fine. Those are really good. But I broke one, and on the top, and then the bottom guide had been broken and repaired by the previous owner. And I was like, why don't I just buy some brand new ones? So I got ones with bearings, and the back the back bearings were a little messed up, so I bought some new back bearings. And then it was this sort of thing where I started replacing parts, and as I took it apart, I realized more parts needed replacing. So the rubber shoes that hold the blade on the wheels, those needed replacing. So my bandsaw, it's got all new parts on it. It basically replaced the whole thing. Tool maintenance, I could go on. All right,
it always goes that way though.
Let's grab another question. This one comes from Fearless Facade. You both have experience with Patreon. Yes, we do. In fact, we should plug our Patreons. I'm interested in starting one once my exposure grows and I gain a large audience for my work. What would you say the pros and cons of your experience with Patreon, and would you recommend I start one? I don't know that there are a lot of cons. It's a pretty good platform. I can list. I can list what I like a lot about it.
Yeah.
It's the people who support your Patreon are the people who are going to be the most dedicated to whatever it is you're doing. So for me, it's making prop and costume making videos like the one you're watching right now. The people who are the most dedicated, a lot of people in this chat, a lot of these names you see down there are the people who want to support the show. And Patreon gives you a direct line of communication with them, a two-way street, which I think is the best part of it. Now you've just recently started one, Steven.
Yeah, I launched mine start of February.
Yes, so you still are getting your sea legs under you.
Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of mine.
But
mine is aimed a little bit different, like
right.
So I'd done no video actually when I started.
Yeah.
And I've been doing more of it now, so I've been learning that stuff as I go because I wanted to be able to do some of the live streaming. Like that's why I'm on Twitch now.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that stuff. So my setup is a little bit different because my first goal on Patreon, one of the sort of core of it was to get to like something that would make exclusively for Patreon on top of all the other stuff that I'm already doing. To try and get the leeway to do stuff. So I consistently have something that I could show people what I was doing, how to build stuff, how to make stuff. It's, like I said, I've been working with Frank a lot lately, and I can't actually show really any of that.
Yeah. When did that?
Just behind my laptop here is a pile of parts that I'm currently cleaning up for him to go get chromed.
Cool. Super cool. Yeah, one of the best things about Patreon is being able to give the people who are supporting you exclusive additional stuff. A couple of tips I have is whatever it is you're going to be using Patreon to support, it's really great for content, right? So for me, it's video content. It could be a blog, it could be photos, it could be digital content, which is really, really good. But what you want to do is build up a reputation and an audience for that content. So with my YouTube channel, I've been doing it for like 3 years. We have over 300 videos. There's a huge pile of great free content. Then we launched the Patreon to help support it. So you've already got so much momentum. And then what you can do is through Patreon say, I'm still doing all this stuff for free. Patreon gives me a chance to do a little bit extra for the people who want to chip in a little bit, which is something it's something that I'm going to start investigating even more. What else can I offer to our patrons that's exclusive, that gives them a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. So I may one of the things I'm going to do coming up soon is send out a survey to our fans and see what they might want to have as extra things.
Yeah, I mean that's the people that we're doing it for. So
yes. So there you go.
I guess if there's a downside, it's that figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, don't think that it's like a set it and forget it sort of thing. I've updated our Patreon campaign a handful of times since we launched it a year ago, a little more than a year ago. It's an ever evolving process. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and as I hear back from people who are patrons or on Twitch or whatever of what they'd like, I've been trying to tweak it so so it's good for everybody because that's kind of the idea.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Good luck there, Fearless Facade. Next one comes in from Django. I'm working on a foam helmet, and I don't know if I should use Krylon or acrylics. The helmet doesn't flex much, but it does a little when I'm putting it on. I don't know if I should risk cracks. I don't know. Either one will work, I bet.
Yeah, probably.
I really like Angelus acrylic paints for just painting on foam because they're nice and flexible. If you are worried about cracking, you could do it that way. But if you want a really easy solution, it's hard to go wrong with just spraying it down with Krylon.
Yeah.
Or you could mold and cast it and get it chromed like Steve. That's Steven's
the other
MO.
way you can kind of cheat if you want to use straight acrylics is get fabric medium. You can buy it like at Michael's or whatever, and it's made to turn those cheap like $1 acrylic paints into stuff that'll bend on a t-shirt.
Ah, yes.
Super flexible. You can add it to anything.
There's a lot of different additives you can dump into acrylic paints. Liquitex has a whole bunch of really cool additives. Here we go.
And Golden Acrylics has some really cool stuff I've been looking at.
Yeah, Liquitex makes a fabric medium. That's cool. That's a really good good option right there. Fantastic.
Yeah, I ran into a guy at Kamikaze who had made scale mail, like little tiny scales, and I think they did it all out of foam, like just cut little craft foam scales and then just glued them to a spandex shirt. And it was all painted with stuff using some of the additives from the golden color stuff.
Cool. There you go. There you go, Django. Let's see here. Arugular. What? At some point, people are just going to put names in that are hard for me to pronounce. What do you do? Right? What do you do with your used plastic mixing containers? Do you reuse the containers after the resin sets and pop it out? How about resin and silicone that's not well mixed and isn't curing completely?
If you're using like the big one, like the 1 quart tubs or whatever, like the nice ones, those you wait until it's like not like 100% cured, where it's like hard but still kind of bendy, and you can pop that out. I tend to mix some like little cheap disposable cups, just like buy 100 of them at wherever, Costco or the grocery store or whatever, and then just throw those away.
I really like the tri-pour cups. I buy them just by the sleeve on Amazon. Brittany will find a link and dump it in the show notes. But they're like 250 milliliters. We also have those 1 quart ones. But the tri-pour ones have like pointy corners that help with pouring.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice.
It's a little pricier to get those cups, but we reuse them. Like you said, as soon as it sets up, you can pour it out. And as far as uncured, if the silicone, and I'll have it happen where I'll mix up, because I mix silicone in 2 cups. I mix it in 1 cup, and then I pour it into another one, and I mix it again. And the first cup usually has some silicone that doesn't cure in it, and I just wipe it out with a paper towel and reuse the cup. Yeah. If it does cure, that's the best part, when you just pull fully cured silicone out of a cup, and then it's perfectly clean on the inside.
Yeah.
I wish all my messes were that easy to clean up.
And if you're using like the bigger cups, I always try and leave like that little bit of silicone at the bottom, because then you get those mixing pads.
Yes.
That are super handy for like everything.
Yeah. I have
a stack of those.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of those. I'll mix Bondo on that or epoxy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, so for the most part, if you buy some decent cups, you can just keep reusing them. Thank you, Arugular. Alrighty, next one comes from Nick at Modulus Props. Does urethane resin outgas while curing? It looks like Steven uses a respirator while slush casting large pieces. I never noticed any strong odors, but I suppose there could still be fumes present. Yes.
It does.
Yeah. You don't want to stand over it huffing for sure.
Yeah, and they're all a little different. Like, say, like a smooth on like 300, 305. Like, they'll have a smell, but it's really minor. Those I don't usually bother with the respirator because they're so little. I'll just crack the door.
Yeah.
Onyx has a strong, like, not a really strong smell, but it's enough that if I have the door closed and I'm casting for more than like 15 minutes, I'll get a headache.
Yeah.
Which tells me it is bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wear basically, if I can smell anything, I wear a respirator.
Yeah, and then the silent killers are, of course, the things you can't smell. So there's material safety data sheets for all of these materials, so definitely read them. Working in a well-ventilated area helps. A lot of times, too, when you're working, just having the air moving. So I was doing some airbrushing on a live stream a couple weeks ago, and I just had a fan blowing the air across my workbench so that there wasn't a cloud of airbrush paint.
Like just a little bit of particulate in the air,
around my head, just to move the air out. If you can have a spray booth, obviously that's really good for that. But you want to not create a little gas cloud for yourself, no matter what you're working on.
And the best way to do it, especially if you get like one of those like the box fans, the square ones, those work really well. Put it so it's pulling, like don't stick it so it's blowing the air across you.
Mm-hmm.
Put it so it's pulling the air.
Yes.
Like if it's blowing that way, you want the fan over here so it pulls the clean air through because it'll get it away from you better that way.
Yes, yes. But definitely read the material safety data sheet on that stuff. Especially if you're going to like I know I'll do this sometimes. Stand in one spot and cast stuff all day long. Like after a while you're like, boy, I've just been standing over this bucket of urethane all day. That can't be good.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, Nick. Safety first.
Yep.
Next question comes from Dungeoneering Duo. We're looking to make a silicone 2-part mold, our very first, for a pair of bat-style wings. Image below. Gonna load up that picture. And there it is. And there it is. So there's the wing. We got a wing-a-ling thing sticking there. So they want to make a mold of that. All right. We would like to know your thoughts on the best method for making said mold. I think a 2-part mold is definitely the way to go there.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
probably here. I'll bring the picture up again there. Just a seam around the edge of it. That's what I would probably do that. But the tips of those, I would probably pour it from the bottom left part. And the tips of your wing, you're going to want to create vents because that's going to trap air.
Yeah.
So you could sculpt the tips going down. It's kind of hard for me to showcase what I'm talking about.
Let's
look
work on these wings.
There we go.
So if we pretend that like we're molding this guy, I would put like that because they've got that sort of like arm thing over here. I guess that's where I would pour in. And basically all these little points you want up, so you can vent those so that air can go that way.
Yep.
Basically. Something along those lines. And then get your seam lines,
Just
on
like
those
that.
edges. It's the easiest to clean up usually, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so a 2-part mold, so you clay up one side, pour your silicone, let it cure, flip it over, rinse and repeat. But just give it a try. If you're anything like me, then the first time you try a 2-part mold, you'll just completely screw it up, which is exactly what I did. Then you'll learn. Don't worry about it. Do you remember, Steven, what your first 2-part mold was?
First 2-part mold I made would have been... Oh, God. What did I do? Something really... I thought through it way too hard, and then used like 10 times too much silicone. Like I poured this giant block of something. I don't remember what it was though. It's probably just parts for something.
Yeah.
The first couple of molds I made were all brush on.
I gotcha. I believe the first one I did was Jim Raynor's pistol. I still have that model. It's crap. I want to redo it. But I don't know why, but I made the mold in urethane rubber. And I definitely poured one side of it, flipped it over, poured the other side of it, went to sleep, woke up in the middle of the night realizing I hadn't sprayed any mold release on the thing. Ran downstairs, ripped it open. It had been too late, and the whole thing was destroyed. So, there we go.
After that.
About 50... lot of urethane I just dumped down the drain. That's fine. I didn't actually dump it down the drain. I cut it up and threw it away. There we go. That was Dungeoneering Duo. Good luck on your very first 2-part mold. All right. Death and Gravity cosplay. I'm building Tanix, the Scarred from Destiny. That's awesome because I like Destiny. And there's a picture right there. So he's building Tanix, the Scarred from Destiny. And I lost my notes. Boop. There we go. I'm trying to build his robotic arms from PEX Tubing. What is the best way to widen and flatten out the tubing so I can wrap it around my arm? So that's PEX is like PVC, right? Like a PVC pipe.
Yeah, it's that real flexible It's like PVC. They make like the weird little like friction connectors, so you don't have
Yeah.
to glue it all together.
Yeah. Does it?
It's pretty
I don't.
flexible, but it's
Does it respond to heat? Because PVC you can heat form.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it does. I've never actually tried to heat form it. I've only used it in like small lengths.
Right.
But yeah, I mean most plastics do to some extent. So I'd imagine, yeah, if you got it, hot enough, like where it means like really hot really fast or hot really slow, and then kind of squish it over something, I'm pretty sure you probably could.
Yes, you probably could. I would be careful because if it does have PVC in it and you cook it too much, it will release toxic gases. So,
Yeah.
don't make sure if it starts to melt, turn off the heat, set it down, walk away, maybe go into another room for a little while.
Yeah, heating PVC is really dangerous fumes wise.
Yeah. Like PVC sheet, like foam PVC, like Sintra, you can heat form that. And it takes a lot to actually torch it. But if it's like a white sheet and you see it turning brown, that's like real bad news. So
Yeah.
just take it easy and be careful. But yeah, you could. I could imagine you could just cut the tube and then like heat it a little bit and flatten it out. It could totally work.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I would just get a heat gun and play with some of it and see
How it
what's
goes.
the easiest way to do it.
I like that idea too. Instead of starting with a flat sheet of something, start with something that's closer to the actual form. All right, that was Death and Gravity Cosplay. I'm going to keep cranking through. We might get through all the rest of these questions, actually. We're making some good time. We have about 15 minutes left. Corium9 Creation Center says, after hearing stories from other cosplayers, a friend wants to create a group of cosplay guardians. His intent is along the lines of an extra layer of personal defense to enforce cosplay is not consent. What are your thoughts on this? It sounds like a pretty good idea. You just, I think we've always called them cosplay handlers, especially if you have a really big costume. But we've always I just have a built-in cosplay handler because I'm married. So Brittany and I keep an eye out for one another when we're out in costume, and that works out really good. Usually we're both in costume though. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, Kit and I do the same sort of thing. If you got a costume that's real involved, or basically if it's like anything big that you can, if it's like a hazard to trip or just to move around in, because she's got a couple where she just, moving around is tough. So I'll go in something really easy, so I can basically handle stuff. Or anytime either of us is in anything particularly revealing, we just watch out for each other. Yeah, I mean, having a handler, if you need it, is great. Someone who can manage your stuff for you. Having friends around just to sort of watch out for each other is always good, because then you also have friends, which is added, half the fun.
Yeah, I think more than anything, having an actual formal arrangement with someone makes a lot of sense. If there's any reason why you might be I don't know, uncomfortable about heading into a convention, especially if you're by yourself, then with someone you know and trust, say, hey, look, I'm going to go out in this big costume or a revealing costume or whatever. Could you maybe hang out and just keep an eye on things? That's best practices right there.
Yeah.
But even better is if you have a whole group of friends and you stick together. A lot of times when you hear, fortunately, I haven't had any bad experiences. But when you do hear about people having bad experiences, all their buddies went out, a group of 3 or 4 people, and then 3 of them said, "Oh, I'm gonna go check out the dealer hall," and the one person didn't want to, and suddenly they're stranded and they're alone. So yeah, that's probably the best. Having someone who's actually dedicated and is going to stick around is best case scenario.
Yeah, just remember that 99% of the people you meet are going to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And don't go overboard with your job.
Yeah.
Don't be the crazy security guy.
Yep.
Remember, most people are.
No pictures.
As I've seen people do that, and most of the time you don't need to.
That happened to me at Emerald City a couple of years ago. I was just I didn't have a costume on or anything. I just had my camera, And I was by the celebrity area, and I saw Leonard Nimoy. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll grab a picture of Leonard Nimoy. And I go to take a picture, and then this big, meaty paw goes up in front of my camera. And I was like, dude, try and take a picture. And there's a security guy who's like, please don't take pictures of Mr. Nimoy. I was like, oh, right. You want me to pay for pictures. I get it now. Another really cool thing to think about too, if you have a really big costume and someone agrees to like be your handler, it's usually best if they don't have a costume, or if their costume isn't going to hinder them in any way. Because having two let's say giant mech costumes from Warhammer,
it doesn't really work.
They can't be one another's handler. It's like like me and Brittany in our Draugr costumes. It's just the blind leading the blind.
I believe that.
At least we can take the helmets off so we can see. All right, that was Corium 9 Creation Center. It's good. Those are good questions. It's for a lot of new people. Those are the things you kind of tend to forget about, and you want to consider it before you hit the con floor.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're having a good time, and if having friends around to make you feel safe means you have a better time.
Yes, for sure. And it's more fun anyway. It's just more fun.
Yeah.
Rose has a question. I'm making Magic's sword from the X-Men, and it's this giant sword right here. There we go. That is the character Magic, and that is a really big freaking sword.
It's the big Claymore thing, right?
Yeah, it is a giant thing. Let's see here. Return to the question. I'd like the sword to light up, but because of its size, I think it will need to be hollow. Maybe like a light box. Do you have any suggestions or tips or ideas about how to do it? Boy, that's going to be a tough one. Do you have any ideas that immediately jump to mind?
Trying to think.
It's a tricky one. The tricky thing is that
because it's when it's just a single blade and you don't have anywhere to like hide lights.
Yeah.
And have to like run stuff through it. Oh wow, yeah, okay. The stream just cut off with me, so I can see that image. That is huge.
It is really gigantic.
You could hide stuff in there.
Yeah.
You have that sort of center.
That thing going down the middle of it is going to help. That's where you're going to want to hide like strips of those giant LEDs. But for the actual blade,
the way I would do that is out of frosted acrylic.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I made Psylocke's katana.
Yeah.
A couple of times, and that's just plain acrylic, and then like that edge I just sanded down, which made it frosted basically. Mm-hmm. And along that back edge, I just ran a strip of those, the super bright LEDs. You can get those strips. And something like that, you could do the same kind of thing, because you can get like 16th inch acrylic, which is real thin. And if you built that thing basically, like a light box, and put your LEDs behind that center core part, then it would glow pretty awesome, really, and it wouldn't weigh too much.
Yep, making it hollow is definitely what's going to make the big difference. Look what Svetlana over at Kamui Cosplay did for her Shadowmourne axe. She made a hollow. She ended up filling it with resin, so it was no longer lightweight. But she sort of made a Pepakura shape, and using really thin, I believe it was acrylic sheet, she sort of put it together that way.
I see somebody in the chat mentioned Harrison's the Transistor.
Yeah, and those are all vacuum formed. So if you could vacuum form something that gigantic, then that would be a great way to do it.
Yeah.
And then frosting the outside of it, either you could really just sand it so it's all frosted.
Yeah, you can buy frosted acrylic. You can sand it so it's frosted, or they actually sell window frosting.
Yep, I have
like an aerosol can. It's like $5 for a can. It would do the whole thing.
Yeah, that's going to be an ambitious project there. Look forward to a lot of trial and error. I would start on a small section of it and get some lights, small. Get some material, start small and see if you can get the effect you want. And I hope you're not doing this for a convention in the next month.
Yeah, but you want that the frosted is what diffuses the light, because clear acrylic, you'll just see straight through it.
Yes. All right. Good luck, Rose. You're gonna need it. Let's see
Yeah,
here.
awesome though.
This next one comes from N2 Cosplay. What should I use for large, thin, flat props that would have a smooth finish? I'm making a giant golden sword, and I'm trying to avoid fiberglass. I see. Excuse me, man. Soda's going right through me.
Flat, smooth, and shiny.
Yeah, you got your Heimdall picture here with a gigantic sword. How'd you make that?
Actually, Commissar Props made that sword. In a week.
Because Kai's a crazy person.
What do you make it out of? The handle's all epoxy sculpt, and the blade is Sintra. Actually, Caleb, his crazy, ridiculous gold armor that he made for BlizzCon this past year.
Yeah.
That's all Sintra.
Yeah, it's all thin sheets of PVC foam.
Yeah, expanded PVC sheets. So you could use like Sintra if Sintra's a little bit rough. I mean, it's a flat finish.
Yep.
But if you prime it and paint it nice, you can make it pretty and smooth. Or acrylic. Acrylic is actually amazingly easy to work with. I use acrylic for a lot more stuff now.
Yeah, acrylic's great. The Sintra's really good. The Sintra's probably a little bit lighter because it is foamed.
It's definitely lighter and easier to, because you can do 90% Sintra with just a box cutter, just a blade.
Yep, and lots of sanding.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared to do lots and lots of sanding. If you're looking for something that's probably more readily available, poplar wood's pretty good. I've used that for some sword blades. You can just get from Home Depot. They'll have that, and you can use normal woodworking tools to work on that. And because it's got that grain in it, it'll have some good structural integrity.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, you have to work hard to get rid of the texture of the grain. So, again, lots of sanding.
Yeah, either way.
Let's see here. Oh, this is a good question. I want to, again, from N2 Cosplay. What foam should I use for making giant Hulk-like muscles that can be covered in fur? And what should I use for the structure under the muscle foam? He's making an 8-foot-tall demon.
He's making a muscle suit.
Yes, he is. So I'm going to point you over to Stephen K. Smith. Have you been following his orc?
I have, yeah. It's coming out amazing.
Let's see
here. That's all
here.
upholstery foam.
Yes, it is. 1 second here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, figured it out. When
we made
there it is.
For Kamikaze, not this past year, but the year before, Kit and Holly and I made gargoyles costumes.
Yeah.
And I had to be Goliath, and Goliath is bigger than I am, so I had to make sort of like half of a muscle suit. We didn't have to make it look like skin and stuff like Steve is doing with his. We just put under another spandex suit, but that's what we used, was just upholstery foam.
Yes. Upholstery foam is definitely the way to do it. All right, I have the link to it, and I'll drop it in the chat right here for you guys. Steven's been documenting the whole build over on the Replica Prop Forum, which is great. This whole build of his has just been ridiculously well documented.
Yeah.
So I just dropped that link in the chat, and we'll put it in the show notes too. Go look at what Steven's doing with his orc thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the effect he's getting is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, orc muscle suit. There you go. I hope I get to see that in person. I know he can't travel with it.
Yeah, he's going to C2E2 with it, and I'm secretly biased, not so secretly, I guess, and hoping that he wins so that he gets the crown that I made for him.
Yeah, that's right. That would be really great. Developing Cosplay says, I need to join the RPF. Just do it. Just go start an account. It's free.
Do it right now.
Just do it right now. Everyone in the chat, if you don't have an account on the Replica Prop Forum, therpf.com, go there right now, make an account. I'm Chinbeard over there. You can find me. All right, let's see. Actually, another quick note about the RPF. There was a really good thread going on about Ray's Blaster over there. People sharing. That's where I got a lot of the reference pictures I had for this, and people are sharing their finished guns over there, and I dropped mine over there. So go check that out.
Yeah, I love the RPF for reference stuff.
I gotta get one of the RPF hats. Those fancy
Yeah,
pants hats.
Frank gets those periodically because Brad will just bring them by.
Yes. Gotta get one. All right. Last question. This one comes from Hey Patch. He says, I've noticed a bunch of YouTubers starting Twitch streams. Evil Ted, Artie Fakes. I like to make stuff. I was wondering what it takes to get set up for hosting a Twitch stream. What cameras and software do you use? Well, what do you use, Steven?
Well, when I asked you originally, you were using XSplit.
Yep.
So that's what I'm using. But you switched to OSB, or are you still playing with the
OBS, Open Broadcasting Software? Yeah, OBS is great because it's free. It works on. There's a couple versions. There's the OBS Studio, which is like the newer one that works on Mac, which I have going right now, and then the normal one for like Windows. But that's the switching software. That's why I have me and Steven over there and then stuff going on down here. That's not at all necessary. If you want to just start streaming on Twitch, you need a webcam, and most computers have them built in now. So if you have a laptop, you need a microphone. Again, most computers have them built in. So if you have a laptop and an internet connection, you're probably good to go. Just go make a free account over on Twitch, and you can start streaming right away. That's all you need. But if you want to get more advanced, go get a couple of webcams. I've got the Logitech C920. I have a pair of them. So when I'm in the shop, I have more than one hooked up so I can swap between them, which is really neat. You were streaming the other night. So did you? I can't remember. Did you have a couple of webcams set up?
Yeah, I've got this little dinky Logitech that I got on Amazon for like $15.
It's hard to beat.
And this one, I've stuck Velcro on it, and then I've got Velcro just all over the shop. So I usually move that one so that sometimes it sits like right up here. I've got over the sanding table if I'm over there. And then I use the laptop, the built-in one for my second camera. So I get a couple different angles and just kind of put them where I need them.
Yep. It's really, really super easy to get started. If you are looking to get hooked up like using OBS... there are a ton of tutorials. Actually, there's one, this local dude, his name is Jerry, but his channel is called Barnacles. I'm going to find it real fast. He just did an OBS tutorial. And I'm going to find a link to it for you guys real fast. He did a tutorial basically just on using OBS with your computer for all the setting up. And I will put a link in the show notes. There it is. And there it is. All right, cool. So we'll drop that in the chat and put it in the show notes. So yeah, the resources are out there if you want to do anything. It's really not too complicated to get this stuff set up. The software is pretty easy. So yeah,
XSplit was super simple to set up. Once I realized, I think it took me like an hour to sort of figure out what I was trying to do. And then just cameras, go, send to Twitch. It's all free.
It's all free. It's really, really great. And I it's the sort of thing too. If you're going to be sitting there working on something for a long time anyway, I might as well stream it.
Yep.
All right. And speaking of, like, everything you've got is SoloRoboto, right? So
pretty
Twitch,
much, yeah. On the RPF, I think I'm Mr. Roboto.
Mr. Roboto. But if,
everything else is SoloRoboto. I try to make it easy.
Yes. So if you go to twitch.tv/SoloRoboto, you can go follow Steven over there. Whenever he goes live, you can get a notification.
Yep.
Same thing with me. Of course, it's just Punished Props over there. And we do this show right there, right now, which you're watching. And man, I am gassy today. This way to go. Which, by the way, Coke Zero, I bought a whole bunch of these from Costco. It looks like they're still trying to get through their Christmas stock. Where was I? Twitch, SoloRoboto.com. Everything is over there too. If you guys want to get caught up with Steven.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Patreon.
It's
Pinterest.
all over there. What are you waiting for? Go check out everything that Steven's got going on. That's it this week. Thank you so much, you guys, for bringing your prop and costume making questions to us. Those are what fuel the show. And of course, if you like the show and you want to help us out a little bit, that's over at patreon.com/punishprops. You can throw a buck or two our way, and that goes a really long way to help us out. So we thank all of our patrons, and we are looking forward to seeing you guys all next week. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, Steven, at Emerald City Comic Con next month.
It's going to be great.
Alrighty, until next week, everybody. Good luck and have fun with your prop and costume making. Bye, everybody.
So long.